everyone, and welcome to Valley Crafty Corner. I have a scrapbook process video to share with you today, and I'm using the Studio Calico Kit for March called Neverland, and I also have the Hook and Tink add-ons. So I started this layout off with it's one of the Amy Tangerine papers, or no, sorry, that's a lie. This is the Dear Lizzie paper, and on the other side it's the anchors, and on this side it's got that craft chevron print on it, and I really wanted to use that as a neutral print for this background. And then I'm also using that blue stripe is from the Amy Tangerine Yes Please, and I'm just trying to figure out at this point what sort of paper I want to use as a mat, and I settle on this Amy Tangerine Yes Please. I think it's called Priority. Anyway, it's kind of like this orangey pinky kind of stripe, and then I'm going to kind of use this this kind of like weird pattern, and at first I was kind of like, oh my god, I don't know what I'm going to do with this paper, but when you coordinate it with the rest of the papers that are in the layout, I was actually pretty amazed at how well it goes. I was very skeptical if I was ever gonna like fall in love with that paper, and I'm actually starting to really like it. I would say I'm not totally in love with it, but I did 2 layouts using like that pattern, and of course in this one it's not going to show up as much because I'm using it as a secondary mat behind the photo, so it's going to be a little bit of not as much of that multicolored pattern. But I did use it in another layout, which will be coming up very shortly, using a lot of the pattern showing, and I'm kind of really impressed with how it looks. Anyway, that layout will be coming up very shortly. For another part of a layer for this photo, I wanted to take some of that Maggie Holmes script paper, and because I cut it down so much, you can't really tell it's a script font. It just adds a little bit of a different texture, color behind that photo, just to kind of break it up from the rest of the colors that are there. And it does add a little bit of a black element to the photo as well. So I also have a border strip from one of the Amy Tangerine Yes Please papers, and it's that pink arrow piece, and then I also have one of these chevron pieces that I just cut down to make it like straight edges, because before I had it cut you know, into the same pattern as that chevron piece, so I just cut it so that it was a little straighter so that I could have it on the layout. And honestly, I wasn't 100% for sure which way this layout was going to go, but in hindsight, I'm really kind of pleased with this layout. It didn't necessarily go the way I had thought it would, but it turns out really cool in the end. I don't normally do a lot of these vertical stripes. I usually, you know, will centralize a lot of my layering to one area, and then kind of embellish around that photo, maybe on a diagonal or in 3 different areas. But it's generally the same sort of layout. So I'm kind of maybe I am exasperated with that way I'm doing it and just kind of developing a new style. Maybe, I'm not sure. But I decided I wanted to try something different, and I did a vertical stripe on that Andrew issue layout, so I wouldn't say that this is the same, but it is a different bit of a spin on it, maybe is what I would say. So here I'm taking some of that ribbon, and I'm going to put it on the horizontal on the other side, because everything's so vertical on the one side. I need something vertical, or sorry, horizontal on the other side, just to kind of balance everything off, just because it's getting a little bit too linear. So I have a little bit of this ribbon, and then I took in that one of those little scrap pieces of that Maggie Holmes paper. It says "My Life" on it, and then I also have this piece from a border strip, and it says "Let's be adventurous." So it has "My life ... let's be adventurous." So I thought that was kind of cool. So that's going to kind of stay the way it is up there. And then I also have this strip of that wood grain, and I needed kind of something for that camera to sit on because it felt like it was kind of floating in midair. So I needed something for that camera to sit on. So here again, I'm just kind of going through some papers, seeing what I want to use, and this pink strip is actually it's a border strip, but it's not from the papers that I got in the kit. It's actually from a paper pad, but I did use some papers from the paper pad rather than from the kit. I had the paper in paper pad. I just felt like I should use that up first because I really like the double-sided paper. I like the weight of it, but I wanted to use the stuff up in the paper pad first. Anyway, I have this Plano stamp, and I'm going to end up using that, but here I just kind of needed to see where everything was going to sit first before I started pulling that out. Pardon me, I'm drinking water. I'm super thirsty. This is the second layout that I've done voiceover for in the last half hour, so my voice is getting a little scratchy. Anyway. So as you can kind of see, I'm trying to get everything all set up, and I took those other pieces of paper up in the top left there, and I did kind of like the flag cut on them so that they could have a little bit of a different element to them. And here I'm pulling out some stamps, ink pads, and these are all from Hero Arts. And what I'm doing is I need a solid stamp so that I can see what the colors are going to look like when I stamp it. And so I'm going to stamp where I'm going to put the photo, so nobody's going to even know that I stamped underneath the photo. It's going to be all covered up. Well, I guess you guys will know that I stamped there anyway. So I started off with some soft granite, bubble gum, I believe Tide Pool. Yeah, Tide Pool. And then I think this one's called Cup of Joe. This next one? Yeah, that's Cup of Joe. And so I decided that I wanted to have a little bit of a softer look, so I decided that I wanted to go with the soft granite inks. So that's my choice for what I was doing here. And here I'm starting to glue everything down, which was a huge mistake because I have to pull everything back up in order to do my stamping. But I guess I had to know where everything was going to sit anyway. So you're going to see me put everything down, and then I'm going to have to rip it back up again right shortly because I'm going to realize my mistake right away. And that's where I realized my mistake. So I'm going to come in here with a pencil. I'm just going to kind of draw my line where the edges of my paper are so that I can come in with the stamp and make sure it's in the right spot. So I'm going to ink it up with that soft granite ink, but I'm going to take this baby white wipe and I'm going to kind of wipe some of it away so it looks a little worn and washed out. It doesn't look completely perfect. So you can kind of see what it looks like there. Very, very little. You can tell what it looks like. So that's the way I want it to go. And so I'm going to start gluing everything back down again. And I'm just looking for an eraser so that I can erase those pencil lines before I glue everything down. And just starting to put all the pieces back together. And I don't think I glue my pictures down at this point. But this picture here is from my sister and brother-in-law when we went to Las Vegas. We went and we watched a dinner theater, and it was called Marriage Can Be Murder. So when you first walk into this theater where they have it, they take your photo and they post it on Facebook, which I thought was kind of neat. And they have they have live postings on Facebook of what's happening. They post pictures of it, so you can go back in after the dinner theater's over, and you can get those photos off of Facebook. So that's actually where I got this photo from, was off of the Facebook page. So but this little dinner theater, I mean, it was small. Like, there was maybe, I don't know, 20 to 30 of us all in this room, and the dinner theater was kind of like a slapstick comedy kind of thing, and it was really well done because they improv'd so well. It was quite good. The food was, I wouldn't say high class, but it was kind of like down home cooking kind of thing, which suited me just fine. I'm not a fussy person anyway when it comes to food. As long as it's hot or as long as it's cold, whichever way it needs to be, I'm pretty happy. I'm not really fussy. But if you're ever in Vegas and you're looking for a lot of laughs, my sister and I left and we were almost in tears, crying, because it was just, some of the things were just so funny. So yeah, if you're ever interested in a really fun time at Vegas with people you don't know and they get the whole audience involved, definitely a time worth spending. I would definitely recommend it. So anyway, back to the layout. Just kind of going through and adding some more of these pieces. You can see I pulled a button out and I'm going to put it on top of that camera. I pulled out one more of those Maggie Holmes hair clips, those little resin hair clips, and I'm going to use that, as well as I stamped that little banner piece on top of some pattern paper by Amy Tangerine. So I'm going to use it, but it isn't going to go in that spot where it is right now. And I also pulled out a rub-on arrow, and that is from the Amy Tangerine rub-ons as well. And here I'm putting down some little arrows. This layout felt a little blank on the left side where that photo is, and I felt like it needed to have something there. It just felt a little lost, and I don't actually end up using anything on that side. I actually end up using that whole side for journaling, so I'm glad I didn't put anything there, because I really used that whole side from the bottom of the arrow all the way down to the bottom for my journaling. So I'm really glad I kind of left it the way it was. Because otherwise I would have left a lot of pieces of information out from that particular day. So here I'm taking some of that skyscraper Mr. Huey's that we got in the kit, and I just splattered it on in diagonal pattern, and off camera I was drawing it, so you didn't see that part. And I'm going to come in again and I'm going to do the same thing as I did with that Plano stamp in the middle of the page, except I'm going to do it up on the top, and I'm going to do it at the bottom of the page as well, just so I have 3 little triangles of that Plano stamp. So here I'm just going to start attaching all those pieces down. And I'm going to do the same trick as I did before with the little threader piece. I'm not sure what you call it. With the little button threader, the little needle threader or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to use the same little trick. I'm going to take one of these little metal needle threaders, stick it through the hole and the button as well, and then feed the ribbon or the baker's twine through. So you'll get a good look at what it looks like when I flip it around to see to do the back side. You can see that little needle threader right there, and it works really slick. And so that way you're not fussing around with your needle and thread and wrecking the twine, because I find that's what happens. So, and they're relatively cheap too. I've got mine from Walmart, and I don't even know if I paid $1 for a package of 5, I think it was, or 3. So they're fairly inexpensive. And here I'm just going to layer down some of those pieces that I was talking about up in the top left there. And just going to staple the ribbon down just because it just felt like it needed staples just to make it a little bit more secure. And then I'm just going to add all those other little strips down as well. And just going to trim off the edges of all those pieces. And I'm going to put everything back onto the layout, just to kind of see where everything sits. And I add that little rub-on arrow. And I just use a bone folder. I don't use a little popsicle stick that comes with it. I just find I get a little bit better pressure with my bone folder, so that's what I end up using all the time. And then I'm taking this Yes Please date roller stamp, or sorry, it's not the date roller stamp, it's the phrase stamp, and I stamped Remember with the Tide Pool ink, because I wanted the arrow to point to something that I wanted it to say. And I thought about adding this wood grain washi tape, and again, I don't end up using it, I don't believe. And I'm going to stamp this little piece here, and it says Picture Perfect. You can't really see it all that great just because of the ink underneath it, and this gray ink is really soft, but that's okay. I didn't want it to be overpowering, but you can see it there. And I left that stamp set out because I decided I was going to use these kind of like little flower pieces in it, and you'll see that in a minute, but I wanted to just kind of leave them there so I knew to use it. So here you can see me pulling them out, and here's that Hero Arts bubblegum ink, and I'm just going to stamp these flowers kind of in a diagonal line all the way down to the picture, all the way down to the bottom right side of the page. And I started off with the big one. I didn't want to go too gung-ho crazy with the big one first, so I started off with this medium-sized one, and I just thought if I made the diagonal line first with the medium-sized one, then I could go in and fill it in with some of the other size little flower pieces. So you can see me filling in with the smaller one right now. And then I'm going to go back to the bigger one and just kind of fill in some of these spots that feel a little lost. And those little flower stamps there will draw your eye right from the top of the from the top of the page all the way down to the bottom quarter by the photo. So it'll definitely keep your eye focused where it needs to go. And again, I come back in with this washi tape. And I don't remember if I use this or not. I'm pretty sure I don't, but I could be wrong. In fact, I'm interested to see if I do or not because I can't remember. I think maybe I use it at the top. Maybe I don't use it anywhere else. Oh, I do actually use it up at the top left there. Oh, silly me. Oh, it's been a long week. Anyway, I'm going to do that little loop thing with the baker's twine up there, but I don't think I end up using it there. And just again, kind of looking at some of these pieces that are in the embellishment kit, or as part of the add-ons and the embellishments to see what I want to use. And there was this question mark in one of these little die cut pieces that I cut out with a silhouette, and I was debating on using it. I actually don't, but I was going to use it in my title. My title is going to be Who Done It, but I wasn't sure if it would fit or not, but I just left it out there just to kind of see if I could make it actually work. And just adding some adhesive dot, or like some foam adhesive, to the back side of that camera just to make it pop up a little bit. And I'm not sure what I'm doing now. I think I'm trying to figure out what to do for my title. Oh, nope. I'm looking at some of these printable die cut pieces, or these print and cut files, to see if I can make them work. And I'm still fooling around with that piece that I cut out, and I still can't make it work. So I get a little frustrated with it, and I think I just set it to the side for now. And here we come in with these goodness letters again, and I have really used these letters quite a bit. I quite like them. I like how they have the different tones all in one set. So I decided, because I had enough of the letters to do it, I was going to put each of the words in the title in a different color, just because I had the stickers, or the letters to do it. And here I'm just trying to see if I can make it fit, and I wasn't sure where I was going to actually put my title, but it fit really nicely on this little piece that I had left open by the photo, so it must have been fate to use that there. So I decide that I don't want to use that question mark. So I'm just going to use the question mark that came in the sticker, in the alpha stickers, instead of using the big question mark one. So here I'm just going to lay them down. And I'm just using the side of the photo as my way to make them all line up. And then I'm going to lay each one of those pieces down beside it. And I'm sorry, my head's in the way right there. And I just couldn't get that T to smarten up and go where I wanted it to go. So I had to just use my pencil. I didn't use the lead part of it. I just used, I had the lead inside the pencil, so I could make sure it lined up properly. And so I finally got my title down, and then here I'm going to put this camera piece down. And then I use that little print and cut piece that says snapshots. And I also wanted to put the title of the dinner theater where we were. So I wanted to put Marriage Can Be Murder underneath where that arrow was. So here I'm just spelling it out, and I had some little stickers that I didn't use from a previous layout. I had them on there, so all I did was just leave them on this wax paper so that if I stuck them back on the sticker sheet, one, they wouldn't be bouncing around all over the place and just get knocked off anyway. And two, that I knew I was probably going to use them eventually, so if I just left them on the wax paper, they would still keep their stickiness, and I would still be able to find them. And I've been doing this for even some of my thickers. If I don't end up using them, I'll just leave them on the washi tape and throw them back in the package with the thickers themselves. So that way, if I do want to use them, they won't lose their stickiness or get kind of shuffled around the carrier sheet and get wrecked. So I've been doing that for a little while, and that trick sure seems to help them stay in place for sure anyway. So the first part, the marriage and the murder part, are in the blue and black, or teal and black, or whatever color you want to call it, teal and black font, and then the can be part is in the teal and white font, so it kind of breaks up the title a little bit. And here I'm going to glue down this little banner piece up at the top, and I think it says these moments with you or something like that are fun, or I can't remember. So here you can see me jump past and do my journaling really quickly, very, very quickly. So anyway, I got it all down, wrote down as much as I needed to. But this part in the title had this blank spot, and it was kind of driving me nuts. It felt like it needed something, and because there was all these kind of like little flowers on the layout, I felt like I should probably maybe add a flower onto this as well. So from the Amy Tangerine stamp set for her new line, Yes Please, I used that little flower piece, and then I'm going to come in with some distress ink markers and ink them up. I come in, I think I used tumbled glass and broken china just to add a little bit of dimension. And then for the leaves, I believe I used shabby shutters and crushed olive, I believe. And what I did is I just kind of like picked up some of the ink from the other pen, and to kind of like start with a darker tone and then work my way out to a lighter tone. Didn't really work the way I had wanted to, but it still does give a nice little effect to it. And I'm just looking at my greens right now, but I'm pretty sure it was shabby shutters and olive. I'm pretty sure what I used because they were quite a bit lighter. Pretty sure. So I just pick up again some of the green from the other marker just to kind of give a little bit of depth. So I was debating on which one I wanted to use, and it's better if you start with a lighter marker and then put the darker ink on it, and then kind of fade it out a little bit. I don't think it worked as well as I thought it was going to, but it did give a little bit. I wouldn't say a lot. But anyway, just enough to color that little piece up, just to add something else to the photo, especially the title, because it was feeling a little bare. And then here I'm coming in with some of these little enamel dots from My Mind's Eye, and they're from the collectible collection. And I decided to go with the green because there was green in the border strip on the left side, but there was really no green anywhere else other than that little stamp set that I had, or the little stamp that I did with the flower. So I felt the need to add a little bit more green into it. So here's the close-ups. And you can kind of get a look at the misting and then the stamping that's going on. And you can kind of get a look at all the journaling and that Plano stamp and all of those layers on the left-hand side of the photo as well. So thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.